A volcanic ocean, prisoner of the sea. A barren and weary world that is reborn at the arrival of an unexpected gift. Deserts of lava and sand, defeated by the struggle for survival of many living creatures. Stone fortresses that hide spectacular biodiversity. A bundle of islets that share odysseys of travelers from the far ends of the world. Knots that forever tied the destinies of amazing creatures. Lanzarote was born several times during its long existence. One of the oldest of the Canary Islands, it seems to drink from the fountain of eternal youth. The last great eruption was Timanfaya, over 2 centuries ago. "170 square kilometers of burning ground that in 6 years buried springs, farming lands and villages. A barren landscape waiting to be conquered. Lichens always take the first step. The lava lichen has only its tenacity to imitate the feat of a hero, to smooth the path for life amidst pure desolation. Motionless, stuck on the rock it grinds and stealing nitrogen from the breeze. Slowly, more complex organisms manage to enroot, which proves that this inhospitable land has begun to ripen. 20,000 years old, the locality of lava fields called Malpaís de la Corona is a garden carpeted with rich vegetables. The thickness of its age-old ground and the thickness of the lava crust delay the loss of water by evaporation, maintaining the level of humidity for a longer time. In arid climates, this represents an advantage for the greater development of spurges, verodes and wolfberries, a gift for plants that naturally endure dryness. Atlantic lizards are the first descendants of an ancient continental reptile that arrived in the eastern islands. Though the smallest in the Canary Islands, they get to a remarkable size in these oases, playing an important role in the spreading of seeds. By the end of the spring, few flowers look as exultant as the wolfberries, a hard-to-get delicacy. They will have to use inventiveness and literally unscrew them. Sooner or later, humidity vanishes. Everyone anxiously waits for the rain that is coming soon. Or maybe not. In this land, that is always an enigma. Some escape these worries and only wake up from their lethargy when water is abundant. The Lanzarote stick grasshoppers nymphs were able to spend years patiently waiting underground. But now they are woken by an invisible stimulus. Beginning one's life by swimming in sand is risky, and many die trying. The lucky ones will grow quickly, thanks to the amazing spurges and verodes stands that come back to life after the rain. They will be adults in a matter of months, but their life will end in just a few years. It is time to breed. The female buries her lay, beginning a new cycle. Malpais de la Corona sinks into the sea amidst heavenly inlets. Fine white sand is dragged to the shore by the sea currents and later blown inland by the winds. The old lava crust disappears under a new environment with a peculiar vegetation. These plants are capable of growing in this unstable and mobile soil, and on top of that, they have to endure being beaten by the sand that travels in the wind. They also need adaptations to the high salinity of the water of areas near the sea. The surprising coastal ragwort is one of them, a touch of colour in an environment where fresh water is scarce. In the north of the island, the orientation of the Famara Massif forces the winds to change direction. A new northwest flow is born. It blows tiny particles of ground marine animal remains inland. That is how the Hable sandfield is born, one of the most spectacular and fragile ecosystems of the Canary Islands. For months, warm and dry breezes turn this huge sand tongue into a devastated landscape. But sometimes they bring hope. And after the rain, the Hable sandfields will soon forget they were once a desert. The paleness of the soil gets lost under a new skin that has developed in a few weeks thanks to its amazing capacity to retain humidity. And later, under the multicolour carpet of wavy heliotropes and sow thistles. The Lanzarote red everlasting dyes large areas of this sea of sand with the blood of its flowers. The abundance of plants is a lure for invertebrates. They know all this green is brief and they have to hurry. Scarab beetles are very common here, and this one has found a delicacy in the ephemeral petals of a small sunrose. The spectacular crimson speckled moth always shows up at the right time. It plants the horizon with eggs that will become tiny, devastating caterpillars in just a few days. Lesser short-toed larks are counted in their hundreds, a host specialized in punishing spring plagues. Thanks to its predatory behavior, the southern grey shrike improves the spreading of seeds promoted by the Atlantic lizards. As they swallow what's in their stomachs, they increase the field of action of these vegetarian reptiles after they die. Unknowingly, they both collaborate in the slow shaping of the bushes. Almost bare plains of little inclination are the favourites of the rare cream-coloured courser for nesting. Its colour makes it invisible here, and it allows it to control what is around it before being discovered. Houbara males prefer clear hills to spread their double message. Females are all welcome, and any rival will be expelled from the premises. Love dates are so reserved and intimate that they have never been observed, although they undoubtedly take place. Their consequences are hidden by a coat of feathers, safe from sunshine and predators. Almost a month under the comfortable motherly warmth is enough for these treasures to mature completely. Each nest works like a biological clock, and so the birth of the chicks is almost in sync. A powerful bond that will keep them united until their independence. Stone curlews are common in the Jable. Their outfit allows them to go unnoticed. Pairs create stable and long-lasting bonds, evident in their breeding strategy: equal distribution of tasks. A relief that makes incubation and breeding a more bearable process. The Jable vanishes in the rocky mountainsides at the feet of the Famara cliff. They are the eroded remains of the huge massif that gives it shade. Almost by the shore, the Cabezuela Marina finds its only shelter. Even though the Lanzarote colonies are slowly expanding, they continue being threatened by the increasing alteration of the coastal habitats. Apart from Famara, the natural distribution of the Pulicaria includes the cliffs of the locality of Los Ajaches, in the opposite end of the island, 40 kilometers south. The Tojilla Blanca is a dwarf bush that shares the privilege of living in this immensity of beauty and solitude, even if cornered. This scanty white bugloss concentrates in Famara most of its insular population. They attract a large number of invertebrates. This large bee was able to find, in the eastern coasts, a similar habitat to its African origins. With its long proboscis, it sucks the rich nectar of these flowers. Famara is a monumental stone wall, a ruin saturated with botanical endemisms of the Canary Islands. And many are exclusive to this inhospitable Lanzarote area. For the rare Girate sunrose, living between cracks with little ground is a continuous challenge. Several years of extreme drought could take it to a critical situation. The Famara Marguerite daisy is one of the few insular species of this family that has fully yellow flowers. A strong wind drags the humidity necessary for surviving, and it is also a punishment for the plants growing on the brim of the cliff. Even if the rain has worn Lanzarote to its foundations, it is still the most deserted island of the archipelago. Only in a few Famara sources does water spring naturally. They are almost lost resorts, privileged redoubts that hoard true rarities. The Famara shell-bearing slug is known in 2 distant localities. The rest is a mystery. These challenging crags are also the home of one of the last pairs of Lanzarote Egyptian vultures. A reduced satellite population, reinforced by fowl that arrived from the neighboring island of Fuerteventura. Harassed by many problems, it is still on the brim of extinction. The Barbary falcon almost disappeared from the archipelago, but it may have found its last bastion in Famara. The seed of a prodigious recovery that allowed it to colonize all the other islands. Off the north coast, there is a fascinating landscape of beauty, sown with islets and volcanic plugs stricken by the sea. The Chinijo Archipelago. A cocktail shaker that mixes the destinies of amazing creatures. Repeating an odyssey of thousands of kilometers, the Eleonore's Falcons return from their distant winter strongholds in Madagascar. And they don't follow the African coast, as was thought. Instead, they take a shortcut across the continent. Their busy schedule accepts no delays. Chicks should be born at the time of the exodus of small birds on their way to spend the winter in the warmer south. This summer, about 100,000 of them won't make it to their destination. For these, the journey will end on desolated and almost lost islets, where 200 pairs of falcons and their hungry chicks await. They are not a booty of greed. It is an inevitable drama that allows them to move on to faraway lands in mid-September. What they saw when they first opened their eyes, silent volcanoes flushed by the sun, will remain in their memory forever. They are the coordinates of a mysterious compass that will bring them back next year for an unavoidable appointment. Next year and every year they live. Darkness troubles the restless and nocturnal soul of the Canarian shrew. Its ancestors arrived from the north of Africa thousands of years ago to end up cornered by a quirk of evolution. Thus, they managed to become a different species with close relatives in Sicily, in the middle of the Mediterranean. Limited to the eastern islands, they are only abundant in the islet of Montagna Clara, maybe because they have no competitors there. They share the night with well-known transoceanic nomads that group together to rest. Just as bulwark petrels and storm petrels can be counted in their hundreds, these islets host one of the largest colonies of Cory's shearwater in the entire Palearctic. Over 30,000 reproductive fowl, plus thousands of youngsters that must wait several years for sexual maturity. Many mouths to feed. Canarian waters register very low productivity almost all year round. The waters around the Chinijo islets are a bit richer, but not enough, which forces birds to take long trips in search of food. Occasionally, cetaceans help. They harass and push small shoals to the surface, leaving them within range of these low-draft kamikazes. But marine fowl have another accomplice that makes its appearance from July to September. It is the trade winds that accelerate the movement of superficial waters as they get stronger. This allows cold currents filled with nutrients to upwell from deep outcrops near the African coast. A wealth that fertilizes the ocean and benefits all its inhabitants. A miracle that only occurs in a few places in the world. Under the sea, there are also cliffs and drops. Landscapes of extraordinary beauty, some formed thousands of years ago. Bajo de las Gerardias is one of them, a multicolour coral garden, over 60 meters deep. Its orientation regarding the dominant currents and the high productivity of these waters make the development of exceptional biological communities possible. In some points of these submarine mountains, the groups of Gerardia are so motley that they seem real forests, the largest known concentration in the world. Besides its own rich biodiversity, it favours the expansion of other species that arrive from higher depths. Sometimes the ocean advances and retreats through the hollow arteries of the volcanoes, leaving brackish puddles without superficial connection to the sea. They are a new frontier, a new challenge for life that evolution resolves by creating incredible beings like the blind albino crab. A small crab, exclusive to the Canary Islands, pale, blind, and of slow metabolism. These finishing touches are necessary to clear its way through the darkness and optimize the little energy that the algae provide and the scarce organic matter that penetrates through the cracks. Behind its barren and wasted look, Lanzarote hoards fabulous biodiversity. Its cover, burnt by lava and volcanoes, has revived several times, unleashing a spectacular new beginning each time. Where a magnificent massif, battered by erosion, gets dressed up with a collection of Canarian endemisms stuck on stone walls. And small sanctuaries, noisy refuges that keep alive the memory of nomads sentenced to repeat an ancestral odyssey forever.